Let's talk about the fourth dimension and its expression at this time. Of those things people have bought into to such an extent, it's creating hatred between people.
Yes, I know. And for me, I guess the best thing I can do now is offer what I've been experiencing. And what I've been experiencing is we're in the middle of such a heavy-duty, intense fourth dimensional influence that has caused me to recognize more and more and more where that's really coming from. And I'm moving more in the direction all the time of reptilian influence. And I haven't really discussed that very much because, first of all, David Icke did a great job on it and all that kind of stuff. But I'm finding that the Anunnaki issue is just kind of a subset of all of that, and that we're really starting to see that we are being heavily influenced by this reptilian influence.
Barbara, just let me interject one thing here, because I want you to explain this in detail.
Sure.
I'm in contact with all these different people, all these people that channel, my own beings that inform me and guide me, and in each case, they will not talk about that. And even my own beings, when I've asked about that, I said, tell me about this realm and these beings. And they just say, there's no need to discuss this. And they won't talk about it. But so I ask other people who channel, and they basically skirt around it, and they won't talk about it. So we're left here without any kind of guidebook to these influences that every one of us can feel. Coming through our institutions, coming through our media, our political systems, our pharmaceutical industries, all of it. We feel the influence inculcated into all of it now. Please explain
Well, I think I'm glad you gave that little listing of where the influence is coming through, because I think at this point we all have had enough experience with what the deep state is doing, or what the pharmaceuticals are doing, or what the war machine is doing, or whatever, so that we really recognize at this point that it is a force.
Yes.
And so this is coming through as a force. And I suppose one of the reasons that I'm really comfortable talking about it is I'm actually very galactic. And having an extremely galactic mindset, I believe that everyone in the universe plays a role. And so I believe that the reptilians are playing a role.
So, okay, now let me ask you, the reptilians, the cosmology of what's happening right now, so where we are in our own solar system, so how the astrology is playing out on Earth, tell me the role and the purpose and the opportunity in these beings influencing us in this way.
These beings are the cause of fourth dimensional polarization, the split of reality into dark and light. And we are electromagnetic. We are polarized beings. And so these beings are influencing us, but they're not, they're basically physical in this dimension. There's issues of them living underground, which I think is probably true, and there's issues of them being in a non-physical fourth dimensional space. I think all of that's true. But what they do for us is they polarize us. And that is just part of being alive and part of being an electromagnetic being. But unfortunately, they have way, way, way too high of an opinion of how much influence they should be having.
Yes.
Looking at it from a galactic point of view, they have way overreached the domain that they have a right to be involved in. And if you get into galactic politics and stuff like that, you'll find that the reptilians are included because everyone is included in the discussion.
But they don't honor, quote,
they're not honoring, they're not honoring boundaries and stuff like that, and they're interfering in ways that are not allowed in the third dimension. The ends justify the means and all that sort of stuff. And so the ends don't justify the means, period.
No.
And that's something that we're living out day by day right now. That's third dimensional law. And so the reptilians have overridden it, but as in my experience with them, we've come to the point where it's time for them to let go.
Okay, okay, I need to ask a question there. They're not playing fairly. They're not playing by, as you say, kind of cosmic rule.
Right.
Which is, you don't interfere like that,
You're right.
period.
Right.
And they're interfering. All the other beings within our galactic society are fully aware of what they're doing here on Earth.
Yes.
They're playing from the shadows.
Yes.
It's a manipulative, unfair game.
Yep, mind control.
Mind control coming from the shadow, so you can't see it.
That's right.
At what point, and I'm not down with, I'm not down with looking for saviors, but at what point can these beings be reined in?
Okay.
Or what can we do to essentially hold them, push them out? How do we get around this horrible trap that we found ourselves in?
Well, to understand that, we have to go back 2,000 years, and we have to go back to the archons.
Yes.
Because what happened 2,000 years ago, and this is probably the most critical thing that I could ever explain or create with. My whole trilogy is being created based on the following concept, that 2,000 years ago, the Gnostics, who were early followers of Christ and Jesus, and not only early followers, there was a whole pile of spiritual groups at that point that were flowering because we
the Essenes and
we were moving out of the age of Aries into Pisces around 100 BC. So the Gnostics specialized in the archons, and I think what happened to the Gnostics is I think that they just had archons appearing all over the place. I think that they would try to sit down and read a book at night and, oh no, there's another one. Because the archons were really trying to penetrate our reality and take over our reality at that point. And so the Gnostics taught that the basic teaching is that the new Christian religion, the religion that worked with Jesus, should let go of the age of Aries and let go of the issue of the Hebrew teachings. It's not that the Hebrew teachings were to go away. It's just that Christianity was a new religion and needed to be founded on the teachings of Jesus.
there's a time for everything.
Yes.
In our development as a species.
Right, and so that is my really big message right now, because now we're going into Aquarius. Now we're at the same point that we were at 2,000 years ago, where we need to let go of the parts of the age of Pisces that are not going to function for us. And more critically important, we need to choose high levels of Aquarius versus low levels of Aquarius.